Welcome back. Let's get comfortable on the couch. It's Love is Blind Season 3, my second video. In this video, if you haven't watched the first one, go back and check it out. But I want to make predictions for which of the couples I think is going to make it and which of them I think is at risk. Let's get comfy. Welcome to Reality TV Therapy with me, Dr. Diane. Welcome back. Cheers. It's a little bit early for me to be making predictions about which couples I think are going to work, but I'm going to be out next week, and so I wanted to weigh in early, and I'd love for you to list your comments. Who do you think is your favorite couple? But let's start with Brennan and Alexa, because I think this is the most positive couple. I don't know about you, but I feel pretty good about them. Both of them are unapologetically themselves, and I said in my last video that I think they're both secure types too, which is the best type to be. And in the pods, they were attracted to each other. There was a mutual love of family and cooking and food. And it really sounds like as a couple, they want the same things, which is always a good sign. But I was a little bit worried, I have to admit, about how Alexa feels about Brennan. In our first 4 episodes, we could see that she's a little bit skeptical. And if you pay close attention, it's Brennan who's saying a lot of the positive things. That he thinks Alexa is gorgeous and he's attracted to her. But she's not very verbally expressive with Brennan. What I see are people who are high versus low expressive types. For instance, Brennan is just more verbal. Alexa seems to be that she's holding back just a little bit. The question is she getting the ick factor for him or is it something else? But as we see in episode 5 and 6, the ice is melting a little bit. And I feel like Alexa is warming up. And then she mentions to Bartise about their great sex life. And I'm like, whew, things are good. Now, Alexa and Brennan, they have a lot in common. She's 29, he's 30. They both want children. She wants to be a stay-home mom and he wants to be a provider. This could work well. But when we met Alexa's family, it felt a little bit like a Kardashian vibe. I wonder, can Brennan keep up with this? Alexa, who says she never wears an outfit twice, and he's a man of more simple taste. But if anyone can do it, it's the commitment that they have. I think it was Brennan who said, "You're my lobster, Alexa." But there is love here, and hopefully love is blind and this couple can work it out. Because I wondered if maybe the dad, who I thought seemed pretty logical, he would even help them out. But what I really did love was that this family connection, that he said, "I will stay with you throughout anything." But then when they met with the family, he was also all in. And there was that funny interaction about the circumcision, and Brennan said, "I'll do anything." And the dad, the two of them had a really good laugh. So that is what melted my heart. We shall see, but my prediction is that they both say yes at the altar. Now, let's move on to our couples. We've got SK and Raven. I like these two as individuals, but as a couple, it does feel like there still are a lot of differences. Now, what I like about Raven and SK is I feel like they both are trying to meet someone different than they're usually attracted to. And we see this with Raven in particular. She doesn't go for someone like a Bartise because Bartise is the guys that she's used to. Someone who she meets in the gym, and she's looking for someone a little bit more intellectual. SK, he says he wants someone educated, but maybe that hasn't worked. He wants someone a little bit more playful. So I feel like these two are trying. Now the question is the physical connection here between these two. And what we saw on the honeymoon in Malibu was, it felt a little bit like a rough start. Like Raven couldn't help but be coaching SK in doing Pilates. And she wasn't really happy with his snoring or his sleeping. SK was exhausted. They had been up all night talking. Finally then, when they're together and he gives her a massage, it feels like she opens up just a little bit. And SK brings more energy, which is what Raven was looking for. So I don't know if we're going to get there quick enough, though. There's not such a rush. They didn't have sex right away, and it feels like it's building. Now, what I really did like was SK's family. His mother is lovely. She's warm and very inviting them into their Nigerian culture with food and teaching her some things. And she seems very open and willing. But here's the thing. Raven says she's accustomed to a certain kind of lifestyle. She was clear to tell Bartiz about that. And is SK a graduate student? Couldn't be able to fulfill that. So my worry is that Raven may not be able to flex as much as I think she'd need to make this work. So if he's on a graduate student budget, he's still going to have to pay half her rent. And what worried me more, I talked about in my last video that she's an independent Isabel type, is that it might be hard for her to really be vulnerable. And her friends put SK in the hot seat, that Raven was going to be sacrificing some things by being with him. So I'm not so sure about that. I wish that I could see Raven being a little bit more accommodating. Let's talk about our third couple, Cole and Zanab, or Zay. In the pods, this couple joins around their faith. And when Zanab prays for Cole, it's a very touching moment. I can see them connecting because she shares her grief. But she also imagines Cole having this big, happy family. And that's going to be a good fit for Z, who doesn't have that herself. But what's off for me is that Cole starts early on complaining. And he complains about Zay to other people, that he believes that Zay is passive aggressive. Now, he is not using the term correctly, because does he really know what this means? There's nothing passive or aggressive about Zay. She's direct. She says to him, dude, pick up your towel. But he wants her to give her this feedback with a smile. And I think they just have some inherent differences, because Zay is a traveler, because she is a flight attendant. But he seems to me more of a hometown adventure person. He's on his paddleboard. He's out in nature. And I'm just not sure that these two have enough in common. I'd mention that I think that Cole is a little bit anxious. He wants 7 children, but is he going to provide for 7 children? Zay also has some anxiety herself. You can see that when she gets very shut down. She feels that after their first night together, he's not giving her enough validation. And so she does get quiet. She gives him the silent treatment. But who here in this couple is going to be the anchor? Which one of them? It seems like they're triggering each other. And here's the thing. Zay's been through enough, losing her own parents. But can Cole really be secure enough? If he can't convince his family to show up, that's going to be a mismatch. And I said last time, he got married quickly and got divorced. I'm not sure that's going to make her feel good. And let's face it, Cole has also come out and told Zay that Colleen is more his physical ideal. Oh, ouch. That's a big one. And for Zay, who's already comparing herself, this is just a drop in her self-esteem. So unfortunately, between these two, I'm just not thinking either one of them will say yes at the altar. It's really too bad. I think they're lovely people, but just not a good, successful marriage. Number 4, let's talk about Bartiz and Nancy. I like Nancy a lot. I think she's emotional, but she's also has her stuff together. She's a go-getter. She has lived experiences, and she really wants to be married. Her mother is tough. They don't want to put up with anyone who has debt. She gets this from her mother. But Bartiz is doing everything to push Nancy away. First off, he acts like they're best friends, and he should be able to share with her his thoughts about Raven. No filter. That's a red flag, number 1. Then they have this conversation about abortion. And while Bartiz is happy to pump Nancy with children, despite being a child himself, he says that, I wonder, are these two on the same page? Bartiz, to me, is more pro-life and Nancy pro-choice, and they live in Texas. But what's even more concerning is that to me felt like a private conversation. But Bartiz chooses to bring this up with his pro-life sister. And that felt like a bit ganging up, him needing support from his family, but against his fiance. So that was like throwing your partner under the bus. Now, when we talk about couples therapy, as a couples therapist myself, I talk about something called managing thirds. What does that mean? It means that you protect your partner against other people, like the in-laws. And I didn't see Bartiz coming to bat for her. Now, I imagine that Nancy feels blindsided by Bartiz, because in the pods, he was a different person. He was easygoing, so accepting. But now we're seeing a lot of hot and cold behaviors. And for someone like Nancy who has anxiety, he's not being consistent to her to make her feel secure. But listen to Bartiz's language. It's a lot about him. It's about his attraction towards other people. It's about his sexual feelings, and they drop off for other people. I'm not hearing that he's being sensitive towards Nancy, that he's including her, that he's using the language of we or us. And Bartiz comes out and tells Matt he's not happy. He envies what he has with Colleen. So I imagine at the end, Nancy's going to pull a deep D. She's going to say, I choose myself first. I don't think these two are going to say yes. I don't know about Bartiz, but I think Nancy's a no. She deserves something else. We're not sure about Andrew, but we shall stay tuned. All right. Now let's talk about my fifth couple, Colleen and Matt. Matt, an established aerospace manufacturer, he proposes to this ballet dancer, Colleen. And they do establish an emotional connection in the pod. Matt confesses to Colleen that he was married, but he was divorced because his ex-wife cheated. I worry, though, is this emotional manipulation? At first, I thought they were well matched. Colleen handled rejection of Brennan and Cole very well. And she really put Matt on a pedestal. They both did. It felt a little bit like love bombing, but they both talked about the kismet in their relationship. But here's what turns disappointing for all of us watching, that we had high hopes until we see Matt threatens to end their relationship, not once, but twice. And this pairing looks toxic. Matt gets upset at Colleen because he feels like she is encouraging Cole. But then he even confronts Cole, and Cole says, no, this was all me, not Colleen. And a big fight ensues. I don't feel like Colleen can save herself. She even admits that she could have handled Cole differently. She could have shut him down. But let's face it, her ego got the best of her. It's Matt that's unforgiving, though. Matt who threatens to leave her. And if this is what he's doing while the cameras are rolling, I wonder what he's doing if the cameras aren't rolling. Because I'm worried for this young woman. Matt has issues from his past. He has issues about trust. But has he worked on himself? He's getting triggered easily. And that's what's concerning. So this, to me, feels like two anxious people, both needing lots of reassurance. But again, who's the anchor? And having sex right away probably hasn't made this better, because now it's like, we have so much passion. But is it passion, or is it really jealousy? Is it controlling? And I'm worried this doesn't feel very secure, whether it's Matt's defense mechanism or not. But what happens is Colleen gets in this vicious cycle, or at least she could, where she wants to prove to him that she can trust him. But that doesn't feel like something that's going to land well. And all along, I have to ask, where is Colleen's family? Have we heard anything about them? So my advice to this couple would be to slow down, get some help. This is the perfect moment where I wish there was a therapist involved. Let's talk through this, because this has the potential to be some specific nuances about saying this is not going to work well for Colleen. And I wish that she'd push back a little bit more, but she's feeling fear fear that she will lose him, that he will abandon her. And I just want to say, please be careful. If they do say yes, this is one of these tough social media relationships, because Colleen will go back online and hear everybody telling her to be weary of this guy. So that's my concern for this couple. Let's do a reality check here. I'm reminded of a little poem or a phrase. Never kiss by the garden gate, because love may be blind, but the neighbors ain't. Have you ever heard that before? What does that even mean? Well, it means that your neighbors or the people or the viewers don't forget, because they're going to see your negative moments. Now, let's talk about the process of love being blind. Does it serve any? And yes, it does. Why? Because we all need to be a little bit blinded by love. We need to fall in love with our partners. Why? Because then we get married and we have children. It serves the species to continue by having the process of falling in love. If you think about it from an environmental perspective, societal perspective. But the worry is that the public is unforgiving. And if you are a couple like Colleen and Matt, the neighbors don't forget. So my advice to you is be careful who you choose, and be careful who you kiss and who's watching. Stay tuned for next time, where we will see if my predictions are close. And let me know in the comments what you think of. Thanks.